when you see the constant oppression caused by arising and disappearing, you really see the dukkha nature of mental states. And only when you understand dukkha nature in this sense, constantly oppressed by arising and disappearing, you can understand that all five aggregates of clinging, upadana khanda, are suffering. And the characteristics, anatta, the third characteristics of non-self anatta does not become apparent because it is concealed by compactness. When resolution into the various elements is not given attention, you do not pay attention to the resolution of the various elements. Here again, there is a view of compactness. In reality, there is no compactness, but we always see things as compact. We always see things as solid things. We think that even our mind is just one solid thing. We think that it is the same as the mind a few moments ago. We think that it is the same as the mind a week ago or a month ago. And even though we have different minds, now you have hearing mind, you have seeing mind, smelling mind, and so on. You see them as a solid things. You lump them all together as one. So these aggregates also are concealed by the view of compactness. In reality, it is not so simplistic. So when you see something, you pay attention. You try to be mindful, you try to observe, seeing. So there is the object to be seen, the eyes, retina to see it, and the seeing consciousness. On our part, we have the eye sensitivity, retina, and the seeing consciousness. And though the act of seeing is composed of many different moments of small mental states, normally you do not think of it that way. Some moments are different. You take it as just one thing, seeing, or I see, and also hearing, smelling, and so on, because you take each process to be one solid thing. You take a complex things or process as a mass, and as long as you cannot break this mass, into its components, you will always think in terms of I, a person, or an individual. There are also different functions performed by different mental states. We continue using seeing as a symbol. Seeing consciousness has the function of seeing, which is followed by other types of consciousness. They include receiving consciousness, which has the function of receiving the image of the object that has been seen, and then investigating consciousness, which is the function of investigating the object, and a number of other mental states which arise and disappear after fulfilling their various functions in processing that one object. And while your dhatu air elements have another function, the movement, and hearing consciousness has a function of hearing, smelling consciousness has a function of smelling, etc. So they are all different functions performed by different mental states. But we are not able to see these mental states and processes if we cannot analyze the seeing into different mental states performing their respective function. We see only the visible object. And I see, I hear, I see a person see, a person here is what we normally understand. And there is a difference in the way that different types of consciousness take different objects. One type of consciousness takes sights or visible things as object. Another mental state takes sound as object, and another takes smell as objects, and so on. But we just assume that it is one mind, one consciousness that takes these objects, and that the eye that sees is also the eye that hears. So if we do not see the difference in the way mental state takes objects, we cannot shake off the view that it is one compact eye that sees, it is one compact that hears, smells, and so on. You understand this explanation about anatta, non-self, being concealed by compactness? In order to understand it, we need to understand the meaning of anatta. One meaning is having no exercise of authority over it. And the other meaning, the subject of this explanation, is having no core. Anatta is that which has no inner core, no essence, and no self. As long as you take things to be compact, to be a mass, or to be just one thing, one solid thing with many functions, you can avoid the view that there is a core, an inherent essence, or a self. To understand the Anatta nature of things, you need to break things down into elements, and they are different components. As long as you cannot resolve things into their constituent parts, you will always think of them as one compact things. But once you are able to analyze and break up them into various components, the view of compactness and view of self or atta are gone. So in order to see Anatta nature, it is very important that you break things down, you need to cut things into pieces, and you need to analyze. In the Abhidhamma Pitaka, Buddha expounded all about Anatta. Although it does not say that there is Anatta or that is Anatta, it tells us that everything is Anatta because everything is minutely analyzed. Mind is analyzed into consciousness and mental factors, Citta and Cetasika. Then Citta consciousness is analyzed into 121 types. And mental factors, Cetasika, are analyzed into 52 types, and so on. So everything is minutely analyzed in order to show that there is no compactness, there is no core. The whole of Abhidhamma Pitaka is always pointing to the Anatta nature of things, although we also learn many other things from it. Everything can be analyzed into components because nothing is compact. Since there is no compactness in anything, there can be no core, there can be no atta, no self. When practicing vipassana meditation, yogi make notes of objects that appear at the present moment, and you see that at every moment, the objects are different. And when you take mental states as objects, you know that there are many mental states, not just one compact mind. So you are able to break up mind into many components. You may not be able to name, you may not be able to label those components, but you see them and understand them. It is more important to be able to break up objects into component states than it is to give names to them. During the practice of vipassana meditation, you will see that your mind is not just one mind. At different moments, there is a different mind or different consciousness. One consciousness goes to an object, and another consciousness makes note of it. Then these two disappear, and another consciousness that is thinking of quite another things arises, and so forth. As you pay close attention to what is happening in your mind, you will see that what you thought to be one compact things is actually composed of many small, different mental states. Once you see mind as comprising these small mental states, you come to understand that there's no core in your mind. When you see there's no core in your mind, you see the Anatta nature, non-self nature of that mind. Now you understand the three characteristics of all conditioned phenomena, the characteristics of impermanence, anicca lakkhana, the characteristics of suffering, dukkha lakkhana, the characteristics of non-self or no-core, anatta lakkhana. Are the three characteristics included in the aggregates? Are the aggregates? The sub-commentary of Visuddhimagga says they are not included in the aggregates. Because they are states without individual essence. This means that they are just a mode of conditioned phenomena, but not conditioned phenomena. So they are not included in the aggregates. Then are they separate from the aggregates? It said that they are not separate from the aggregates because they cannot be apprehended without the aggregates. Without the aggregates, you cannot see the three characteristics. So they are not included in the aggregates, but they are not separate from them. They are concept. Applied to these modes for easy communication. The three characteristics are not pramata, not ultimate reality, but are attributes of ultimate reality, attributes of the aggregates. They are neither included in the aggregates, nor are they separate from them, because they cannot be understood without the aggregates. Without calling them something, we cannot talk about them without something. So they are called concepts and were given names for identification. They are connected with the aggregates, and in Pali they are called piññatti, meaning a particular mode of expression. So it is to see these three characteristics that we practice vipassana meditation. You will see them only when you practice, not just by saying impermanent suffering, non-self again and again. They can be understood only through your practice, not by repeating the words or just thinking about them. So if yogi want to see the three characteristics, you must practice vipassana diligently. When you practice vipassana meditation in the beginning, try to develop concentration. In order to make the mind steady, still, and free from mental hindrances, nivarana. When your mind is free from mental hindrances, concentration comes, concentration develops. Through concentration, you begin to see things clearly, you begin to see them separately. You begin to see two things occurring at the same time as a pair, the rising of the abdomen and the mindfulness of the rising, and the falling of the abdomen and the mindfulness of falling. These things are seen separately, not mixed with one another. After seeing that, you also we see conditionality. You will see that because there is the rising of the abdomen, there is mindfulness of the rising. Because there is the intention to stretch, there is stretching and so on. If you practice diligently, you see very clear. And then you will see objects arise and disappear. When you see the objects arise and disappear, you see the impermanent nature of things. When you see the impermanent nature of things, you also see their dukkha nature, suffering nature, because when you see them arising and disappearing, you come to the understanding that they are bombarded and oppressed by arising and disappearing. Continuous oppression by arising and disappearing is what is meant by the word dukkha. And when you see the impermanent nature and suffering nature of things, you can also see their anatta nature. You see things arising and disappearing, which means there is no core in them. If there were one core in them, they would last forever. They would be together and intact. But they are separate and continuously arising and disappearing, so there is no unifying core in them. Moreover, you can tell them to stop. You cannot tell them not to arise or not to disappear. There's no way you can exercise any authority over the phenomena. So here too, you are seeing the anatta nature, non-self nature of things. Through the practice of vipassana meditation and through paying attention to the objects at the present moment, Yogi can see clearly anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanent suffering and non-self for yourself. Once you see these three characteristics for yourself, you don't have to base your faith on what other people say. Through your own experience, you can verify that the teaching of Buddha are correct. When you see this for yourself and come to this firm understanding, nobody can shake you away from this true understanding. It becomes your very own property, your very own insight, knowledge. So it is to possess this knowledge that we practice vipassana meditation. Suppose we are practicing meditation and we see our body disintegrate into pieces, or we see our body disappear or something similar. Does that mean that we have seen anatta nature? Actually, not yet. Because even though we see our body disintegrating, and it is a kind of anatta, we stay maybe thinking, there is I who see it. So with regard to the mental stage, we have not yet seen the anatta nature. Only when we see both mind and matter, both nama and rupa are as arising and disappearing at every moment, we can say that we have seen the anatta nature, the nature of anatta. So we must understand that the real understanding of anatta nature comes only when we pay attention to both mind and matter closely and see them as arising and disappearing, as being oppressed by arising and disappearing and having no control over it, as having no core, and so on. So yogi who is continuously contemplating on the arising phenomena of nama-rupa, we find them we find them incessantly appearing and disappearing according to the relevant circumstances against our own will. So yogi realize distinguishingly with his own personal insight knowledge that they are by nature anatta, which is ungovernable. This is the genuine anatta-nupassana jnana. Although we may wish to develop metta, loving kindness through meditation throughout day and night, by developing and radiating metta mentally or verbally, reciting as may all beings be happy, it will not be possible to do so if chanda and virya, if perseverance and energetic effort are lacking. It would be possible if there is full accomplishment of strong way, strong chanda, virya, diligence and resolution. So it is Anatta Dhamma which does not happen or respond according to our own will. In order to follow up with an action to contemplate the nature of Anatta, when we practice, when we develop metta, we need to be mindful. It would amount to contemplating the citta of loving kindness, merits relating to the domains of sensual pleasures. If serious contemplation is made so as to realize the marks of nature, etc., by reciting from the innermost heart as may all beings be happy. So while contemplating the virtuous thoughts of loving kindness, etc., when vipassana insight knowledge becomes strengthened, nibbana, the state of complete extinction of nama and rupa, will be realized through Ariya Megajnana. Following this Megajnana, the knowledge of fruition phala will be attained. If such attainment is accomplished, yogi will at least become a Sotapanna, a person who has achieved Mittajana. If he continues to contemplate and note, he or she will attain Nibbana through the achievement of stage of Sakadagami Megaphala and Nagami Megaphala. In most cases, arahantship is attained. So we have to stop our discourse for today by developing Metta Bhavana, by practicing Vipassana meditation, by noting, rising, falling, sitting, touching, seeing, hearing, smelling, walking, etc. continuously and meticulously. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. So